Have your own opinion since this broke. What exactly has it been for you when that story first came up?
Actually, my first impression was that it was more or less fake news.
Fake?
I thought it was fake news because I was like, this cannot be happening. So that was really my first impression. It was simply unbelievable, and I couldn't put my finger on it. But before you
Why
knew
did
it,
you think it was unbelievable? Why did you think it was fake?
oh well, because in Nigeria, at least we've been used to certain civility and things like that. So for someone to contemplate such a thing, and in the manner it was equally done, it was entirely strange.
So when you found it wasn't fake, let's talk about it. It wasn't fake news. It's the truth.
Yes.
And over 90 of your colleagues, senior and what have we, were there at the courts to say, look, this is wrong, and he was even advised not to show. What do you think of that?
I think some figures even had 150. Definitely. Like I said, for us, it was there was a sense of outrage, and fundamentally again because we felt that essentially the procedure that's been set out by the law has not been followed.
It was not followed.
Was not followed. So the issue was who's actually stringing this. The person, has to have something else on his up his sleeves other than enforcement of the law. So that was actually the impression we all had, and to think that he actually materialized to the extent of someone thinking that can actually be done. It was like I said, unbelievable.
But the APC now is saying whether the timing was right or wrong, whether due process was followed or not, he has to face trial. What do you think?
Now, I think we need to dimension the issue properly because, like a lot of people have said, there are two major issues here. We say that no one is above the law. And in fact, it's said that God forbid that anyone should be above the law. So that's fundamental. So we agree that the Chief Justice of Nigeria is not above the law. And we say that if the Chief Justice of Nigeria has contravened any law, he has to face the music. Now, the fundamental area of departure is how do you bring the Chief Justice of Nigeria to justice? And the law is very clear on that.
Right.
The Constitution says if you want to impeach the Chief Justice of Nigeria, the President of Nigeria has to lay an address before the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and 2/3 of the members of the Senate must agree that the Chief Justice of Nigeria has contravened the law or has had such a conduct that he must go. So if that has been done, really nobody will raise an eyebrow. But in a situation you bring a criminal charge before a tribunal that has actually ruled and said we don't have jurisdiction to treat this kind of matter, then what are we talking about? If you permit me, I'll read to you just a small portion.
Go ahead.
Of where this Code of Conduct Tribunal, in the case of Nguta versus Federal Republic of Nigeria, on similar charges, held that it has no jurisdiction to try a judicial officer. And I'll read. It says in part, this means that any allegation of official misconduct will first have to be referred to the NJC meaning National Judicial Council, to the exclusion of any other body, court or tribunal.
Who is the NJC in Nigeria?
Now, the NJC is a body of elite judicial...
Who heads that body?
The Chief Justice of Nigeria heads the body. There's no contradiction. and there's really no contradiction and no major issue.
So
really.
you take his matter to the body
Now
where he heads it.
It's very elementary, to the extent that if even in high courts, if a matter comes before a judge that feels that he has an interest in that matter, the judge naturally will resile, because he will excuse himself from that matter.
Right.
Because if he doesn't, there's still a higher court that will, of course, nullify whatever he does. So he will not engage in a voyage of discovery and in an exercise in futility, essentially, to begin to proceed. So essentially, what happens is that if a case gets to the National Judicial Council,
Right.
where the Chief Justice of Nigeria is involved, naturally, and I can almost tell you with 150% certainty, the Chief Justice of Nigeria will resile. He will recuse himself. The deputy, because as a matter of fact, the Act contemplated such a situation, and that is why you have the deputy chairman. The Chief Justice of Nigeria is the chairman. The deputy chairman is the second highest justice of the Supreme Court. So he will naturally take over the trial of so-called of the Chief Justice of Nigeria within the National Judicial Council.
All right, this is the daily report. It's time for us to get your own side to this issue, what you want to talk about it, what you think about it. The National Industrial